Trump's travel ban. You know, the one that Muslim ban.
It's totally a Muslim ban. It's yet another major court defeat for Trump's lawyers. I mean, where did these guys get their law degrees? Trump University?
Ooh, nice burn. Moving on, Trump's European tour continued with a NATO summit in Brussels, and maybe Europe will really change him. You know, like that one annoying friend from college who did a semester abroad. Let's take a look. Hey,
Me.
Jay.
Is there audio on that? So yeah, you might be using it.
Oh, so maybe we'll just have you deliver the line while the video's on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's take that.
Let's do that again. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Let's take it from the top of Jacques' line.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, Trump's European tour continues with a NATO summit in Brussels, and maybe Europe will actually change him. You know, like that one annoying friend from college who did a semester abroad. Maybe. Let's take a look.
Yeah, so this is the president appearing to shove the prime minister of Montenegro out of the way to get to the front of a photo op.
Like, my 5-year-old nephew gets a star taken away if he cuts like that.
So I guess Europe hasn't changed him at all,
No.
which reminds me, it's Throwback Thursday. So that girl from college should be posting a cell phone photo of Prague right about now. Yep, check your Instagram.
There it is. Finally, no one seems to know why the guest reception manager from Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort is currently in Italy helping prep for the president's arrival. She has no experience working for the government, and yet BuzzFeed reports she's been given an official White House email address and BlackBerry.
It's especially concerning because she's married to Ari Rinkus, a twice convicted financial fraudster who, according to one CEO, boasted about his connection to Eric Trump to try to close a business deal.
Wow, so impressive. You have connections with the Joey Fatone of the Trump family. Big whoop.
And that is in case you missed it.
All right, it's time to take you through all the stories that got lost beneath the big Trump dump. It's below the fold.
Okay, number one, a U.S. airstrike killed 104 civilians in Mosul, Iraq.
The bomb was intended to kill 2 ISIS snipers inside a building, but the Pentagon says that bad weather prevented surveillance teams from seeing the civilians and a big cache of explosive also inside the building.
Second story, last year's Miss Black Texas winner called for charges to be filed against the police chief who, she says, had her wrongfully arrested and called her a word we cannot say.
Yeah, we won't say that word. Carmen Ponder says the chief didn't like the way she passed up his car while he was teaching his 14-year-old daughter to drive. So he followed her to a Walmart parking lot, where she says several of his officers confronted her and demanded an apology on his behalf. She refused and ended up being charged with evading arrest.
Ponder wrote on a blog that her only crime was the color of her skin. And in case you're wondering, the chief has been placed on leave while the city investigates.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
All right, story number 3 is more craziness out of the Lone Star State, though a little bit lighter. Lawmakers there just okayed the hunting of feral hogs and coyotes from, get this, hot air balloons.
Yeah, it's huge news for the Wizard of Oz.
Oh. And I don't even want to know what happens if you pass the police chief in his hot air balloon.
All right, and finally, story number 4, a phrase you thought you'd never hear. Academy Award winner Adam Sandler.
I say that in my head all the time. But that's the word out of the Cannes Film Festival, where Sandler received a 4-minute standing ovation and lots of Oscar buzz for his role in the upcoming Netflix movie, The Meyerowitz Stories.
Actually, I think he was supposed to win an Oscar a few years ago for Jack and Jill, but Warren Beatty read the wrong envelope. So
Happens all the time.
happened.
And that's below the fold.
Okay, now it's time for a story that for a lot of us was just TLDR or too long didn't read. So tonight we're focused on scary developments in the Philippines where President Rodrigo Duterte recently imposed martial law in an area of the country where troops are battling fighters linked to ISIS.
Reports coming out of the city of Marwawi are awful. Thousands of civilians have fled their homes, and at least 30 people have been killed by the insurgents. In most countries, the leader announcing that his government would be taking over to squash a terrorist uprising would be encouraging, but that's not the case when it comes to the Philippines. Since taking power last year, Duterte has ordered the killings of thousands of people as part of a self-proclaimed war on drugs.
Yeah, Duterte has suggested that he may expand the martial law nationwide. It's one of those situations where it's hard to choose a side. Of course, ISIS should be stopped at all costs, but giving even more power to a man who has shown a willingness to abuse it is also scary. And that's TLDR.
we know the news can be boring. That's why we're here, to spice it up a little bit. We get it. So whenever we cover spicy, there you go. So whenever we cover a bland but hugely important topic, we'll keep you engaged by cutting in with irresistible viral videos. This is Eat Your Veggies.
Okay, so earlier in the show, we talked about Donald Trump's visit to NATO, but lost in all those wacky gifts, there's some really troubling stuff here. It's also a little complicated, so every time we feel that you're starting to zone out, we'll hit you with one of these hilarious clips, like this.
Oh, you need you to talk over this.
Wait, what's happening?
There's an Easter bunny.
Is that
This guy
an Easter bunny? Well, that's an Easter bunny.
Okay, great. Let's get started. NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is a military alliance between the US, Canada, and a bunch of European countries. It started in 1949 in the aftermath of World War II.
The key element of NATO is called Article 5. Essentially, it says that any attack on a NATO member is an attack on all countries in NATO. If someone invades, say, Greece, the other 27 countries in NATO are obligated to help out.
Yeah, and that's why all those European leaders looked so nervous today. It wasn't because they were afraid Trump would shake hands with them. No, it was because Trump has repeatedly declined to clearly say that he would honor Article 5. He did that again today.
But what exactly is his issue with NATO? You guessed it. He thinks it's a bad deal. Here's what he said.
But 23 of the 28 member nations
What's he
are
saying?
still not paying what they should be
Saying
paying
that it's
It's
a
bad
bad
deal.
deal.
and what they are supposed to be paying
The other countries
for their defense.
Wow, sorry. We just gave you 14 seconds of Trump. You definitely need a break before we finish explaining. Here's the video.
Oh.
Make sure someone lets me know when I'm
Take
back on
two.
camera after Trump.
Remember, there's no audio over these. Yeah, so we need you talking over
The core of Trump's argument is that if other NATO countries don't pay their fair share for defense, why should the U.S. cover their cost? A great question, but also a completely nonsensical one. The reason being, there's not one big pot of cash that everyone chips into. The agreement is that each country spends 2% of its GDP on its own defense. That money was always intended to stay inside each individual country. No one owes the U.S. a penny in this case. And get this, that rule, it doesn't even go into effect until 2024. All right, we're almost to the home stretch. Here's one more clip to get you through. They're giving teddy bears to the elderly.
It's a robotic seal.
Aww.
Okay, so Trump's opinion of NATO is founded on a complete misunderstanding of the spending agreement. Oh, and don't forget that the only country to ever benefit from Article 5 is the United States after September 11th. So Europe's leaders are rightfully worried. What would Trump do if, to pick a totally hypothetical example,
Totally hypothetical.
an autocratic leader invaded a neighboring country?
But we don't have to worry about stuff like that. It never happens.
Fix that.
So the Russian article part should be playing when she says that, right?
Yeah.
After her hypothetical.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take it from the
Ah. But we don't have to worry about stuff like that. It never happens, except for when Vladimir
Wait,
Putin.
wait, sorry. Extra confused.
Hey, you guys, 9 minutes, by the way.
Yeah.
All right.
We're good though.
Oh, but we don't have to worry about that here. Okay, I got it now.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay, all right. But we don't have to worry about that. Stuff like that never happens, except for when Vladimir Putin annexed the Crimean Peninsula in Ukraine 3 years ago. If Ukraine had been a full NATO member, what would we have done? Okay, you guys did great. We hope you learned we hope you learned yourself something. That was Eat Your Veggies.
Okay, finally today, have you ever tried to explain how a hashtag works to someone who's not super internet literate? It's sort of hard to explain.
Yeah, well, but someone really needs to offer some help to Javier Zapata,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
running for governor of the state of running for the governor of the state
Always
of
default
Nayarit
to
in Mexico.
beatboxing.
Yeah, always default to beatboxing. Nayarit in Mexico. Like any modern politician, he wanted to mark his campaign with a catchy, memorable hashtag. What did he choose? Hashtag campaña.
In case you can't quite translate on your own, that means his campaign hashtag is hashtag campaign hashtag. All I can say is hashtag that's hilarious. Hashtag that's not how hashtags work. Hashtag blessed.
In his defense, the hashtag has gotten him a lot of attention, though maybe not the type he wanted. He even got a shout out from Netflix, who today promoted the new season of House of Cards with the hashtag House of Cards.
In our opinion, coverage of this story is missing the real news here. Look at this mustache. Look how lush that is. It almost covers up his entire bottom lip.
Hashtag sexy.
Hashtag what lip?
And that's another week of hashtag the cycle. If you catch anything over the weekend that needs our attention, leave us a comment below.
And make sure to follow us at The Cycle Live. See you Monday.
Make sure to follow us at The Cycle Live on Twitter and Instagram.
And like, share, subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook, all that good stuff.